What's up, TCG enthusiasts? JP here, back with another video. Yesterday was February 3rd, and I went to a sneak peek for Yu-Gi-Oh! Called Phantom Nightmare. One of the best art types of all time has definitely come back with brute force, and this time it's even stronger than ever than what it was when it back in 2008. That's right, we're talking Yubel. Yubel is strong, she's very powerful, and she's got one of the greatest spell cards of all time that'll shake the duel in even more ways than one. That's right, on this deck profile, I'm going to show you everything about it and all the synergy, so stick around, we're going to get right into it. Welcome back, everyone. Getting ready to get started on this deck profile, a 40 card deck. You're going to enjoy this, so definitely get some popcorn. I'm going to get started right now. So you already know this is a Yubel deck, so I'm already going to go ahead and start with the Yubel package being basically this. So 2 Yubel, 1 Terra Incarnate, and 1 Ultimate Nightmare. Now, using these 4 cards, you're going to be able to get Yubel from basically anywhere. Hand, deck, or graveyard, and just having these 4 cards is going to be able to continue to put them on the board as you need. So you don't need any more than this. Just having these 4 cards is basically how you're going to be able to begin that synergy. So this is one part of the engine that I wanted to go ahead and explain. So that's good. Next, I played 3 Samsara Lotus. 3 Samsara Lotus is definitely going to be one of the greatest cards in here, because not only are you able to specially Yubel off of it, you're going to be able to bring it back at the end phase to basically save Yubel from destroying itself and not getting the other effect. With this also, if it's on the board, any card effect that your opponent may activate will turn into destroy 1 Yubel you control, which forces you to go into Terra Incarnate, Ultimate Nightmare, etc. So this is basically kind of where you want to be at if you already have an established board. But 3 Samsara, D Lotus, wonderful card. I'm very happy with it. It's really fun. Next, I played 3 Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel is basically the meat and potato to keep this whole Yubel engine alive, because when it gets special summoned, you're able to search for a card in its text that has Yubel in the name. So you get other cards to be able to counteract with what you're playing, and you're able to continue to go off from there to extend the play further. It also sets you up with a board that gets ready to block your opponent from doing anything, burning for heavy damage, and just enjoying the wonderful ability of these cards. So playing the 3 Spirit of Yubel is wonderful. Next, I play 2 Geist Grinder Gold. With this card, it's not as good as I thought it'd be, but it's definitely good in time. The only reason I say that is because with the fact that you get special this to your opponent's side of the board, and you get a free Yubel after you reveal it, puts your opponent in a bind, because now you're forced to have a monster attack, and you get 3,000 life points if you attack it to this guy. However, they take 3,000 life points if you have the right cards to play. So it's wonderful to just keep your opponent at bay, and you're going to gain a whole lot of life points in this deck just by using Geist Grinder Gold. Like I said, it's a 2 of. I don't think I would play 3, so let's just keep it at that. Next part of the engine would definitely be Dark Beckoning Beast. Now, having Dark Beckoning Beast at 2 in this set is definitely courageous, because a lot of people may not remember what this does. So to explain, basically you search for any Haman card, Uriah, or Raphael in its text to your hand. That's not the only effect that it does. You're able to get a spell card, which is Opening of the Spirit Gates with this. And using Opening of the Spirit Gates for your level 10s is just monotonous. It's wonderful. At the same time, you're able to get the additional normal summon of a level 0, which I mentioned, Samsara Lotus. Attack and defense is 0, so that's your additional normal summon to make another play. So it extends your play even further, even with this normal summon, and it's not a waste. So I think that Dark Beckoning Beast is just to die for. Next, of course, with this engine, that's all for the Yubel cards. Still running the Horus package. 3 of, 1 bird, 1 happy, and 1 dual motif. Simple package. You know, I did pick up the other Horus card, but there's really no room for it. You just want to run this engine. And the only reason is because it plays with the graveyard. You're able to rank 8 and just have counters ready for what your opponent may throw at you. So I like this engine a lot still, because I've always been a fan of Horus. Just wanted to make a deck that may have to run it eventually. So that's it for the monsters in this board. Next, going into the spells here, I should say. 3 Super Poly. Maining Super Poly is definitely needed when you're playing this deck, because you don't have to worry about what your opponent's doing. You just worry about what you're planning to stop your opponent from doing. So if he extends or tries to overextend, trying to get rid of Yubel, try to get rid of your back row, whatever the case may be, you play Super Poly and you just shut that whole factory down, and you're able to special a fusion of any kind. Basically, what I'll show you, at least what's good for fusion in my build. So I think this is great. I definitely don't want to play any more than that. I'm sorry, any less than that. 3 at the max is great for Super Poly. Next is 3 Nightmare Pain. That's right, the best spell card in the set because of Yubel. Nightmare Pain definitely gives you the ability to pop Yubel for free, get a search of any card that has Yubel in the text, and add it to your hand. Now, at the same time that you do that, any card that you control that has Yubel in its name, your opponent is forced to attack you. So it gives that synergy back to you and power to the player, because Yubel didn't have that effect before, but with this spell card it makes Yubel playable to inflict damage to your opponent because he's forced to attack you, which is exactly what this says here. So Nightmare Pain is wonderful as a 3 of. I don't see any less than that, because you always want to be able to search for it, or at least see it when you're playing this deck. Nightmare Pain, wonderful. I love this card. Next on spells, 3 Upstart. I don't see any more than that. Like I said, 3 Upstart is always fun to play. You kind of want to see your cards. It makes your deck play 37. Then you side it out for game 2 for maybe whatever you plan to side, hand trap wise, etc. So that's why I just play it Upstart at 3, because it's going game 1. And if your opponent burns a hand trap on that, that's on them, basically. The other part of the meat and potatoes, basically, to make this whole dish perfect is openings of the gate, Spirit Gate. Spirit Gate is wonderful because it does exactly what Dark Beckoning Beast does, just in reverse. Because when this is played, I'm able to go ahead and look for a card that searches, which Dark Beckoning Beast. At the same time, I can discard a card, special level 10 from the graveyard to the field. So remember those Yubel cards? All of them are level 10 except the Fusion, Terra Incarnate, and Ultimate Nightmare. So you're able to go ahead and continuously play. You get Spirit of Yubel, activate Spirit of Yubel, search for cards, so on and so forth. Keep the play going. Best synergy that I've seen so far. Not only that, is if you have a continuous spell in the graveyard, you're able to set it as long as you control a level 10. So those cards that are problematic, that always seem to get wiped away, such as King Sarcophagus and stuff, and Nightmare Pain, at that point you can get them back. A lot of people seem to run one, or a lot of people that I was talking to was thinking about running Haman just at 1. Haman is definitely interesting because Haman needs 3 continuous spells to play, and basically in this engine you have about 3 or more. So I think definitely it's considered. I don't know if I want to run it right away, but it is something to think about. But at least opening of the Spirit Gates is great for this. Next on the board, of course, 2 King Sarcophagus, not 3. I've seen myself fall into a category where I didn't need 3 of that, and even if 1 goes to the graveyard, remember, like I mentioned before, offerings of the Spirit Gate will definitely get it back for me, or openings of the Spirit Gate will get it back for me, because I will have Yubel basically on the board to put this back and just do the whole Horus engine again. So the only way that I'll maybe like cry a little bit is if they Cosmic Cyclone it, but 9 times out of 10 they're not Cosmic Cycloning this, they're just sending it to graveyard, so I don't play it. Or if I throw it away on my own with like Horus, I'm able to get it back, so that's great. Next spell card that also got released from Phantom Nightmare, just want to go ahead and show you right off the bat. Walls of the Ethereal Tomb. So this card definitely has the additional King Sarcophagus. It's like playing 4 now. Or if you're doing the multiple copies, you're playing 6. But in this one, you're playing 4. And the only reason is because this card's name will be treated as that, even though it's not. But it is good on hand control, because if you don't have a card to throw away, such as like you don't have the Msetti, you get to search the Horus card, add it to your hand, and put one card back in your hand to the deck. So it's giving you the chance to get your Horus synergy while playing Horus. So it's it's a win-win in my opinion. And for it being a field spell, it's too good not to play. So having 2 walls of the Imperial Tomb, I think, is wonderful for this build. Next is 1 Foolish Burial and then 1 Called by the Grave. So, you know, staples. So the Foolish Burial is to throw away like the Samsara D Lotus, or maybe a Yubel card so you can continue to play. You play your offerings or openings at the Spirit Gate, throw away a card you don't need, special Spirit of Horus, or sorry, Spirit of Yubel, Search Effect, so on and so forth. And then the last 3 cards, like I mentioned, I think that was 37, are 2 traps that are my favorite. Eternal Favorite. Now, Eternal Favorite is a super poly, which is like I'm playing 5. As long as my opponent doesn't chain, because with super poly they can't chain, with this one they can. But the only thing is, it's the same kind of effect. Once per turn, I'm able to special a Yubel. So Yubel comes to the board, you open Spirit of the Yubel, you get the search, so on and so forth. You have the Eternal Favorite. Eternal Favorite will discard a card, super poly basically the whole board. So it's definitely live in this deck. I like playing it at 2. I do see it a lot, so it's great where it is. And then Canopy Protector. You throw this away from your hand, by a discard, it immediately activates to be get set on the field, and then if this leaves the field, it gets banished. There are ways that you can bring it back, but this is fine. And I think 40 cards for this deck is wonderful. I believe so, in my opinion. For the extra deck, the cream of the crop. 3 Loving Defender Forever. Now, with this Yubel card, outstanding. They did a whole lot of work to make it at least playable in this format, and it's wonderful. When it gets Fusion Summon, you're burning your opponent for damage for every material you use for the Fusion Summon. So if you use 3 of yours, 3 of theirs, that's 6, that's 3,000 points of damage. That's insane. And just to have that effect right off the board when it gets Fusion Summon, mwah, wonderful. The secondary effect is, remember, if your opponent battles this card, they take damage, and then they get banished. So I'm like, nothing wrong with this card. Super poly target, a lot of interrupt, and your opponent just gets, sad face when you start attacking into monsters and banishing it. One fun thing about this is if you have Nightmare Pain on board, you're doing twice that amount of damage, because each card is going to activate as a stack. So the first time that Nightmare Pain will go off, and let's say you attack into Grinder Golem, you inflict 3,000, and you're going to gain 3,000. Then this effect is going to go off where you're attacking, you're going to inflict 3,000, then you're going to banish them. So you're inflicting 6,000 points of damage right away to your opponent. And not only that, you gain 3,000, and you're just shooting the breeze, because they call time, you're in the lead. There's no way to come back from that unless they wipe your board and stuff. But 3 of this, wonderful. The other cards that I would play as super poly targets, like I mentioned in here, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Garua, and 1 Credit Plant, Dragostapelia. Now, don't see any reason why not, because this is a branded target, this is a branded target, this is a branded target. So people playing branded, great. These are also good in like certain situations if I'm playing Fire Kings. So I think this is wonderful. I think this will be great. Next I play the XZ board. Now the XZ engine is pretty good, at least for what I have so far. Number 90 Galaxy, Photon Lord, 1 Zombie Vampire, 1 Zeus, 1 Infection Buzz King, 1 Giant Trainer, and 1 Gustav Max. Gustav Max, the level 10 that burns. Remember, it's one of those old cards that just works. You know, if your opponent doesn't negate 2,000 points of damage, so be it. Your offerings will get you your cards back, like Yubel, when you detach. So that way you can just continue to play. I think it's great. Coach King to draw, Buzz King to, mess around with the extra deck of your opponent, and also destroying cards. Zeus for the end game. Zombie Vampire to throw away cards your opponent may need to use, but they're all in the graveyard, so it doesn't matter. There goes Photon Lord, which is my Omni Negate, like Borreload Savage. So I really enjoyed the XZ engine of this. I don't think I would change anything. Maybe Hope Harbinger, but I think this will be fine. And then for the links, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Dark, 1 IP, 1 SP. You know, simple as that. You don't want to go too much in that. Like, if I had the choice, it'd be 2 SP instead of IP. IP does come clutch, I will say that. But it's just, it's for choice. So that's it for the extra deck. Like I said, 15 cards, 40 card main deck. And I will show you a couple of combos on how you can shut down your opponent. Here we go. Alright, you guys, so this is a little bit of a combo video. It's kind of one of those starting hands that you can definitely take a look at and be able to capitalize on your opponent, which is really outstanding. So, to get started, especially if you go first, you want to go ahead and summon your Samsara D Lotus. Nothing wrong with summoning Samsara D Lotus first, because there's not really much you want to go into, so you just go ahead and do that. You tribute it off if there's no negate, and you're going to search for your Yubel card. Yeah, the Yubel card that you definitely want to search for is Spirit of Yubel. So Spirit of Yubel will also trigger an effect to be able to search for a card that actually has it in its name directly to your hand, which you want to do this one. It's Nightmare Pain. You're going to activate your Nightmare Pain, and you're going to be able to do a multitude of things. First thing you want to do is, of course, you want to do your Imseti play, which is search for the King's Sarcophagus, and then drawing the card. So you search your King's Sarcophagus, you do your Synergy play, and then you draw your card. So you draw. So you draw into this. Now this, can't say no to that. That's really good. So you play your King's Sarcophagus, and then you drop your Cannabis Protector to graveyard to be able to throw away another one. And then Cannabis Protector's effect will go off, allowing you to set the card. So we're going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and set Cannabis Protector directly on board because it got discarded. Now, you want to go ahead and just summon everybody. 1, 2, 3. And then you can do a multitude of things. You can do Giant Trainer right now, because remember, they didn't have a negate. As long as they don't have Nibiru, you should be smooth sailing at this point. So you want a Giant Trainer. And then you're going to go from there. You're going to go ahead and tribute or send to grave by detaching draw. Okay, detach to grave, draw, inflict damage, send to grave, draw, and that's it. But you have everything that you need because you just basically drew everything now at this point. So you want to activate Grinder Golem with the Yubel in hand. You're going to give it to your opponent, so we'll just summon it like that. And then you special your Yubel. So you have Yubel on board, which definitely makes your play even greater because you have other things to do. So you go ahead and activate Walls of the Spirit Tomb. And you're going to activate Nightmare Pain to destroy the Yubel. Or Spirit of Yubel, I should say. And then you get a search for any card that actually has it in the name. So at this point, I would just do Eternal Favorite. And then once that resolves, Spirit of Yubel will then special basically itself. So now you have 2 Yubel. Pretty nifty. I think it's great. So I don't have to worry about destruction anywhere because I just have everything on board. And I just wait on my opponent by setting 2. So now I have a complete board of everything that I need on the field just by this engine. So having the grinder golem on my opponent's side of the field is just nuts. And now I have 2 Yubels that just definitely do what I want, because of the fact that on the end phase I can Sansar a D-Lotus, special the D-Lotus, tribute, and keep it going. So that's exactly what I wanted to go ahead and do in this engine, and I think it's just one of the greatest effects that basically give you your synergy right off the bat to continue your play. So with that being said, this is one of the combo fields that you would want. You just wait for your opponent to do everything, because you would probably either activate Eternal Favorite to bring back Spirit of Yubel to search, or you would activate the Super Poly and just whiteboard and just go from there. So it's really wonderful. But again, if you guys like the profile, again, thank you so much, you guys. Please send that comment out there, tell people to subscribe, and actually put a like on there. Likes are wonderful. We want to continue to increase the channel's favorite. Please, I appreciate you. Till next time, peace.